Hello, hello, and welcome back to the E.G.C. I just got back from watching Supergirl, and oh boy, it is something. It's something that I don't know. I don't think it's Supergirl. So first, I will give you my opinion, which is or what I would rate it out of 10. Obviously, one being the worst and 10 being the best. I would give it a solid 1 out of 10. Now, everything I'm about to explain why afterwards is spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you do plan on watching the movie, please come back later. I want you to have your own opinions. I will definitely love to hear your comments down below. And I don't want to ruin it for you if you do plan on watching it to have your own opinion. With that being said, let's get into it. So the reason why I'm saying spoilers and not doing a non-spoilers, because if you watch the trailers, you've seen all the parts, you've seen all the scenes. If you're watching the movie, it's just filling in where the scenes are. Now, a few things happened, and I was pretty much right of how it was going to be. It was just going to take bits and pieces from the comic of Woman of Tomorrow and try to throw it in and mishmash it to make its own or its own movie. And it to me it did not land at all. I don't think there was really anything that was like worth like going to the movies for. Like I honestly would say you could just watch the highlight fights, I don't want to say like 5 minute fight scenes. There was like three fight scenes. I think the longest was maybe about 8 minutes. So, I mean, I would honestly say just wait if you're just looking for something good. But it to me, it's just not. It's just wasn't there. So it starts out kind of like the comics where they're on this planet with the red sun, and then now we're going away from the comics. We'll come back to it, so don't worry, we will come back to it. The planet is the same as the planet as the comic, but it doesn't start out the same because we just see her already there. She hops in a spaceship and she just goes gets drunk for like the first 5 minutes of the movie at this different bars, I guess on different planets. I'm not too really sure. It just shows her zoom off and she's just going to go get drunk and she's just hanging around with the other fucking drunken people. Really weird. So now we're getting into Ruthie's backstory. Now in the comics, it was just the father getting stabbed, and the brothers were all like talking about it because there was more than one brother. But in the movie, we just watched Ruthie's brother, mother, and father just gets completely deleted from the planet. Like they all lasted within the fight scene like 5 seconds. Now, mind you, the whole reason that Krim of the Yellow Sun, which that picture that I showed in the last one with him with all the like looking like Pinhead or something. Yeah, that's apparently Krim. I don't know how they looked at the comics and said this is what Krim should look like if it was live action. Don't know where they were going with that one. That one was confusing. But the parents for Ruthie, they are weaponsmiths. They make weapons and stuff. So they make these very apparently some of the best steel in the galaxy or in their galaxy sector or whatever. And you're not gonna find it anywhere else. They mention that. And but they don't have like a shop or anything. So which is still fine. They could have like a little like on the off side of the camera. So to me that's not a big deal. But the only buyers that we see is the brigands, the Krim from the Yellow Hill. But of course they're giving them for free. And they was like, oh, we'll give you these weapons and you'll get what you need and they're gone and ends up killing everyone and now Ruthie wants revenge. So, I mean, the revenge plot against Chrome still the same as the comics. So, like I said, we're just constantly just pulling a string here from the or pulling a page and a panel from the comics and slapping it into the movie. So she takes the sword that her father made and it's supposed to be one of the best swords, blah blah blah. And she goes to a random bar on her planet. Now Supergirl is back on the planet. Of course, she's back drinking. She does nothing but drink for the I think she's still drinking for the first 10 minutes. So now she's there. So 10 minutes has gone by and she's trying to talk to everyone. It's like, hey, blah, blah. I need revenge on Krem the Yellow Hill. And now this enters a part where I always think it's weird. And it is some other movies do this too, and it's the whole alien talk. It's like it's just insert random alien noises, and we're supposed to understand. It's very. I just either need subtitles and or I just need them to speak English because when it's just alien talks, it's just weird. It's like I had to figure out everything in the words of my own, and when it's just like seems like it's just yelling to me, nothing of it makes sense. To me, it's just an intimidation tool. But mind you, Supergirl's still on this red planet. She sees the random alien yelling at Ruthie, takes a sword, and about to leave. This is like a big random alien. Dude wasn't in the comics. Don't know where this guy comes from. And Supergirl just as like crazy spin flip kick shit knocks the alien dude off on his butt, and they end up scrapping in the middle outside of the little bar stuff. She wins obviously, and she gives back the sword, and she drunken walks off back to her ship, and then the next day happens. So she goes back out, or well, she starts having talks with her brother, or well, not her brother, sorry, her cousin, Superman, because she's still hungover and she's getting knocked on the doors because Ruthie's over there. But she's trying to talk, or well, Superman's trying to talk to her, and Supergirl doesn't want to listen because Superman's like, "Oh, you can't just keep running away," which it does kind of saying what I was saying in my last video, where Woman of Tomorrow is where she's already established on Earth, but to me, in The Woman of Tomorrow, Supergirl was a superhero. In this one, she doesn't feel like a superhero at all. She just feels like someone that has powers and just does wherever she wants and then just calls it a day. It's very annoying, but like I said, we're gonna keep going through this. It's a lot of well, it's not really a lot because it was only like an hour and 50 minutes, I want to say. Uh, from my knowledge, I didn't stay for the whole credits, so I don't think there's any after credits. But so Superman's trying to talk to Supergirl, and it's like, hey, you can't keep running away. You need to, try to help find yourself, and I want you to come back on Earth, and you know, try to make Earth your new home. And she doesn't want to do that, and she talks about like, oh well, see, I lost my home. Now keep that in mind. She says she lost her home, and there's a weird thing about this home thing, and we'll get into that because it does kinda explain itself in the movie. But so she hangs up on Superman. Ruthie is annoying her because she's just hungover. Like she's super fucking hungover. They go outside because I guess to take crypto for some outside fun. I don't know. Maybe she was gonna go drink again. But Krim comes in, steals the ship, shoots Crypto. Now, Crypto gets shot by an arrow or like a little crossbow gun thing that he shoots, and shoots a little boat. Hits Crypto, he's poisoned. The end. So now she has like, oh well, I was just gonna leave this girl and do absolutely nothing and mind my own business because she didn't actually want to help the girl in the cantina. She just wanted to stay drinking. It's just when the alien monster was yelling at her, that's when she decided to act. But now she seems like she has a purpose, which still kind of feels pretty selfish because she didn't want to stop the girl from having her revenge moment and her revenge life. She only wants to do it because she ends up getting her dog shot, Crypto. I guess her dog. Anyways, to me, it's the soup family's dog. I don't know. I don't do that whole ownership for Crypto. It's the soup families, but whatever. So they go off to a whole nother planet, and this planet they're trying to it's well they have a whole bus. Because her ship gets stolen, she has to take like this, I guess, bus taxi ship thing. I don't know. Comics didn't really explain that either. It just kind of happened. But there's a whole situation and there's a fight on there. She gets blasted out into outer space. And mind you, she still only has the red sun, no yellow sun radiation. And there's supposed to be a yellow sun on the other horizon of the planet, whatever they're flying out to. But she gets jettisoned out. Now, to me, I don't think that's too big of a problem because, she starts, freeze over and crystallize because, space and all that. And then like the sun happens or the sun beams on her and she gets all like, her Supergirl powers. She's slowly more and more getting as the sun like keeps beaming on her. I can work with that. I can actually work with that because yellow sun radiation, comic book stuff, good enough for me. To me that was good enough. I was like, sure. And obviously real life that wouldn't happen, but in the comic or in this movie, because it's a comic book movie, it's acceptable. I actually think at least that was decent. Now they have this whole fight against all these random side villains for I don't know what reason, but I don't know, because they wanted to pillage or some stupid stuff like that. I don't know. It was just an excuse for a whole fight on the bus thing because it just feels like more of a constant roll, like a wheel is rolling and the wheel doesn't stop, but it's not really going anywhere. It's just rolling straight instead of like, rolling and it's just like hitting peak and peak and peak moments. No, it's just like a flat line roll. Like everything is just moving on. So she beats up these other people, goes into another place, starts talking to the ones that she beat up to find Krim, and the whole reason that the Brighams are uh going to different planets now. These Brighams are supposed to be like very evil, evil bad guys, warlords, and all this stuff, like going around terrorizing places and like snatching up. They're supposed to be snatching up women because they're supposed to be like birthing them because they're a race of all men. I, I don't know. Sure, sure. Let's just go with that. We're running with that. So they're all men, and they're just here to capture women and to make children. So in my head, like, Why did they kill Ruthie's mom, and why didn't they just take Ruthie? Because Ruthie wasn't hiding when they killed the parents. She was just like standing right there. I thought the whole point was to take women. I don't know. I think it was just like, oh, hey, they're evil because they snatch up women, but they don't snatch up every woman. Which, okay, sure. So they're kind of evil, maybe. I don't know. So they go to another bar. Yeah, as you see, there's a constant trend with this, and Supergirl is more and more bars. So we go to another bar, and she ends up breaking this dude's arm because they want to get information of Krim of the Yellow Suns and the Brighams. That was a whole snap the arm and the arm wrestle thing, and she beats up all these people inside the bar. And then Lobos is sitting there. He's looking for another Brigham's person, uh, completely different. He has a bounty on his head or whatnot. And the people who own the bar, after Supergirl beats up everybody, they were like, "Hey, we know someone who knows the Brighams and all this." So they tell her to wait and have her stay the night. Yeah, I don't know. Th- this so so they have her wait, and then Ruthie and Supergirl are talking, and Ruthie's just like, "Whoa, you act like pretty rude and all this kind of stuff," and she was like, "Earth's not my real home. It was Krypton." Now here we go. If you read the comics, just shut off your brain or something because this is just weird. Supergirl was not born on Krypton. She was born on Argo City. And I know what some people are saying. isn't Argo City part of Krypton? Yes. Yes, it is. Argo City removed itself, or well, because Kara's or Supergirl's dad is he's a scientist like Zor-El or Superman's dad. So, like, they're very smart. He made this whole thing, this whole shield thing to lift up the planet or lift up the city to protect all the citizens in there and try to save as much lives as he could. That was the whole point of that. That's not really explained. It just happens. There's just a giant shield over Argo City and it just starts to float away. Now, mind you, we're still on this Argo City stuff. Supergirl was not born. I don't know. From all the knowledge that I know, which isn't a lot. I mean, granted, it's not a lot, but still, I'm pretty sure, and I actually do know. I don't know why I'm saying pretty sure. I do know Kara was a teenager when Krypton exploded. Okay, it blew up. Kara witnessed the destruction of Krypton. In the movie, she was not born. She was born on Argo City after it already separated from Krypton. I was like, what just happened? They just completely took that away. I don't know why they would take that away because that is like something very like important that Supergirl saw, she experienced. She had a lot of Kryptonians she knew from outside of Argo City and all this. So all of that stuff gets cut because apparently she just wasn't born. And then we go to Argo City, so it's just like fast forwards through her life in Argo City, and I mean, she's from a newborn to, I mean, I'm assuming 16 or 17. I'm not, it doesn't really say how old she is. It just like moves, it just progresses along and it just goes to there. And then we find out that the well, I guess the floating city of Krypton, Argo City, is actually poisoning everyone because of the kryptonite. Now, in the comics, everyone was getting poisoned and all this stuff. So that is still there, but it didn't take 16 years. And if anything, Supergirl should be affected by it because was she it either would affect her positively or negatively because she was born into this environment of the poison of because they said the kryptonite was poison on them, but I I don't know. It kind of depends on how you take it. Kryptonite can poison a non radiated yellow sun super superhero Kryptonian, but I mean, I don't know. They could have did that one kind of better. They could have been like, oh well, the yeah, how we lost our son and all this, and like the life itself cannot sustain itself, so the grass is dying, and then we're dying. Blah 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 blah. It could have went on to like that, but it didn't. It just kind of is like, hey, we're just going to everyone's poison. I mean, for over 16 years, I mean, they lived. That's a pretty good time to actually figure all this stuff out. But after uh Supergirl's mom dies, her dad makes like an escape pod, and then that's how she leaves Argo City. She was like, or the dad's like, "Oh, I don't want you to have the same fate as your mom and me, because he's also poisoned and took over his body." And both of them were telling her that you need to be good, you need to be kind, and all this kind of stuff. And the dad says, "Hey, uh you need to protect the weak and all this stuff." Now, I did skip over one part. Right before the destruction of Krypton, they see Supergirl's parents see Superman, Clark. He gets sent in his rocket, and it was like, oh, there goes like essentially like the parents telling him to go take over the fucking world. That kills me. That kills me so much because Supergirl's parents said, "Hey, do good, protect the weak." Superman's parents said, "Hey, take over Earth, make babies. They did the exact opposite. Both of them did the exact opposite. Superman went to Earth and was protecting the world, thinking the good in every single person. Supergirl went to be a drunken stupor. She just completely blindsided everything and just went to go be drunk. Now, a lot of y'all will probably say like, "Oh, well, she lost her whole home and well, she didn't lose her home. She lost or I guess the floating city is her home. She didn't lose Krypton. She lost Argo City due to, radiation poisoning and all this. But she looks like she had like a perfect life up until her last year. And oh, and by the way, how your one of Crypto gets a backstory. He also does. When they were going to go bury her mom, and, they have people carrying the caskets and they're doing the whole walk, with flowers and all this. Like, death. Death and for a great person. So you got to make this walk. Crypto is over there tearing something up. He's just tearing something random up. I don't know what it is. And honestly, it doesn't matter. All we know is that Crypto walks up to Kara and she picks her up, pick Crypto up, and he's like, "Oh, where you come from?" And then just like holds him, and then that's Crypto's backstory now. That's how Crypto did is now Supergirl's dog instead of the Soup's dog. I don't get it. I don't know. It's to me, it's okay, but whatever. But the whole point is they are the exact opposite of what their parents wanted them to do, and it really should had did a better explanation of why Superman's parents wanted him to be evil. They went from great scientists, loving parents to being evil dictators. How in Krypton and how does the Kara's parents and Clark's parents not have very polar opposite ideas? I don't know. There was no explanation. There's no continuation. This is the closest we would ever have gotten to a Krypton backstory. I mean, unless they want to bring in Zod, but then is Zod really evil or is Superman evil? To me, I don't know. It draws a lot of openings, and you're just no explanation. Nothing gets explained. But I know I'm hung up on this Krypton and Supergirl, Superman, but it really does irk my nerves that they played it out like that. But so now after that backstory is done, Supergirl goes downstairs and she's talking to the two bar owners and asking about where's this friend, blah blah blah. And then they end up poisoning Supergirl because she takes like a drink. It's supposed to be like tea, but it was really like some kind of like hallucinogen, making her like all woozy and stuff. Now, mind you, so she's trying to like quickly throw it up because the brigands are here and the Krem's here. They're gonna take her. So they just like crash in. So the brigands they crash into the building where the bar building where Supergirl and Ruthie is at. So, long story short, there was a couple words being shared between everyone. Yeah, I mean, they're all really not that important conversation. I don't think there's really much important conversation because from up until that point, it's just Ruthie wanting revenge and Supergirl kind of like ignoring that or just saying, nope, that's wrong, or just ignoring it, yeah. Or just really just ignoring it. It's really aggravating. So and Krillin, he's not intimidating at all. He's just random. He's a random dude to me. Krill and Supergirl and some of the Brigands are fighting. They end up, tearing holes to the wall, blah blah, superpower stuff. So they get like, because the whole reason that Supergirl, I forgot to actually explain, the whole reason that those two bar owners wanted to keep Supergirl and Ruthie because they were going to make a trade for two girls for one girl. So they wanted their daughter back, and they were going to trade Supergirl and Ruthie for it. Now, some might think that like, oh well, they just missed their child, and they believe that this completely evil group of people are going to just make this honorable trade. I don't know what was going on through their heads, but that's what they thought. A whole fight ensues and keeps going around. Now, Lobo, insert Lobo because Lobo needs to be inserted in there because there's also, remember, there's a brigand that he's looking for, and he finds him. He starts, beating him up, and that guy gets away. Krim also gets away because there's more than just those two there. There's a lot of brigands there. There's all this, like, I don't know, I guess little tank things. I don't know. Kind of, they don't have guns on them, so maybe they're just APCs or something. But with that all being said, Ruthie or Krim finds the the girl that the bar people wanted, and Krim was just going to take her anyways because evil warlord guy. He's not going to be any kind of honorable towards any agreements, especially with people he's not afraid of. So he was going to go take her. Ruthie is going to kill Krim. Supergirl doesn't want her to kill Krim, so she stops Ruthie. Krim gets away. The girl is still running. The girl who's the barkeeper's parents is still running off. She runs into the parents, and then up here comes Krim, the totally honorable evil warlord guy. Up, he kills all three. I'm like, who would have thought that would have was going to happen? I don't know what was going through any of those two people's minds when they was like, yeah, we'll just trade this superpower person and this other girl for our daughter. Oh, we lost our lives. Who would have thought? So that was just like dumb. So Lobo doesn't get his bounty. Supergirl doesn't catch Krim. Ruthie's mad at Supergirl. So now they're having a falling out because Ruthie's like, "Oh, you should have let me take him out because look what he did. Because if you let me take him out, he wouldn't have taken out these three people, and they would have been a happy family." Blah blah blah. And Supergirl's just saying like, "Don't kill," but she's not like giving any explanations. She's not going into any details. She's not saying like what like she kind of says like, "Oh, well, if you get revenge, it doesn't satisfy you. You won't be happy, blah blah." And then Ruthie's like, "Well, you what do you want me to do? Turn out like you? You're just a drunk who just goes around and just runs away from all their problems." And then Supergirl, as Supergirl, she stands up and she says what's right, like, Man, yeah, you're right." And then she fixes herself, and she actually like comes together with losing everything, and superheroes come. That's what you would expect. Kinda. Well, you honestly wouldn't expect her to go that far and be that stupid, but you would at least say there will be a part in this movie where Supergirl will become a better person. Well, it wasn't there because Supergirl just looks at Ruthie and was like, "Well, I hope you have fun finding Krim by yourself." And she like goes off. She asks these random people to take her to Krim and the brigands, or Supergirl does, and she goes off to the final planet. So now we are on the final act, Act 3. She gets off the planet, or she gets off the ship. Supergirl gets off the ship where Chrome and the Brighams are, and it's like far away. And the guy's like, "Oh, this is the closest we're gonna get." And she's like, "Whatever." She starts to walk off. She makes like 7 steps and passes out because it's a binary star planet, and one of the suns is green, so it's shooting out essentially like kryptonite radiation. So she's like getting like radiation poison and all this. So Ruthie was actually stowaway on the ship, and she drops out at the last second and like carries Supergirl to a cave. Now, I said we're gonna finally come back to the comics, and we finally did. The part before with Supergirl getting set up, that was kind of like the comics, but that entire scenario was not like the comics. This part with the planet and the binary star system and the green sun is kind of like the comics, but the entire thing is not like the comics, because in the comics, her and Ruthie get sent there because Krem has like this magic uh I think it was like a spear or something, like a spear, like a ball spear. Throws it at Supergirl, and they both get like zapped to that planet. Now, the other part of the sun is a yellow sun, and in the comics, it was like a place that even Superman got sent to. It's a very dangerous place for Kryptonians. Well, it's kind of dangerous anyways because it got all these kind of animals and giant Tyrannosaurus Rex and stuff there. But this is just like it in the movie. It's just a barren wasteland with just two stars, which I'm like, okay, sure, I guess we're just not gonna get that. Ruthie is like sets Supergirl in a cave, and to keep her off for the sun isn't like, or the green sun isn't beaming on her and like poisoning the crap out of her. Which I was like, wow, that was like the smartest thing you did in the entire movie. Good job. And then she like goes to like a little lake or yeah, you would say it's a lake, and she's like getting water, like drinkable water and stuff. And she sees one of the Brighams who's hiding, but she doesn't know there's a Brigham behind her, and she gets knocked the fuck out. They throw her ass in the giant ship where the Brighams are and Krem is, and Krem is like, "Oh, well, why don't you just tell me where Supergirl is, before I can just, I obviously, the completely honorable and totally agreeable dude, not completely evil at all. Once, Supergirl, essentially wants her head, cut her off, and that's a trophy. Like, I killed off a Kryptonian, blah blah blah. She says no, spits her in the face, and we find out that Lobo is also in the prison on the ship too, as well. So Lobo, it doesn't really explain, and he's like, Lobo got trapped, and then that was really it. Ruthie plays like, oh, I'll tell oh, after Krim walks away. And by the way, the Krim and the other people, they speak a different language, and of course when they talk to Ruthie, they speak English. So I was like, why can't you just speak English the entire time? Lobo would be know what the fuck you're saying. Like, Ruthie might actually know what you're saying. To speak English, like, it's not that important. Like, even the conversation that was not done in English was just not that important. So super weird. So after Krim and all of them go away, Ruthie's like, "Oh, I'll tell," and this guy lets her out and like puts cuffs on her, but he like chokes her out, or he doesn't choke her out. Ruthie chokes this random dude out. Obviously, she's like the size of a 12-year-old, so that goes as well as a 12-year-old should. Perfect for some odd reason. Perfect. In the movie, it went out essentially perfect because she's like choking him and then like knocks him into the railing and like smacks his head and like gets knocked out. Ruthie frees Lobo, and Ruthie goes into the vent ducts, like the attic ducts. Now, and then she goes, gets her sword. She sees like 12, 12, 10 girls locked up, and those are the ones that they captured and all this. Now, mind you, these are supposed to be like evil people who are going around planet to planet, snatching up women and murdering towns and towns and towns of people. I'm just confused. Why are there like 10, like, you think there would be like a town of like all these women in like slave cuffs, because they're supposed to be like sex slaves and all this stuff. So you would imagine you would see something like that, or something that would like hint towards like, hey, there's like 200 women over here being like locked in this building. But mind you, they're all on a ship, so they don't even have like a settlement, if you would, for any of this stuff. So she Ruthie gets her sword after she sees all that, goes on the top part of the platform. I don't know why, but remember it's a binary star, so the green sun went down and now insert the yellow sun, so Supergirl gets her powers. Now we're entering like the last fight. Supergirl is just like constantly hammering on Krim. Now she don't look like she's like holding that far back because she's like throwing him and like beating his face in. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what Ruthie expected to do when she saw Krim. Because in the comics, he won't that strong. He was strong, but he won't that strong. That's just like Ruthie, what were you about to do? Because essentially you swinging your sword is like you throwing a piece of paper. The outcome will be the same. Nothing. So she fights all these people so Supergirl fights all these people on top of the ship. Lobo, insert Lobo, because we gotta insert Lobo. Because Supergirl gets shot by these special arrows that's coming out of Krim's gauntlet. They have like kryptonite things in it. Now, this part killed me because in the comics, we had Comet. Comet the horse. He comes and saves Supergirl. There's no Comet. So all we get is Lobo coming in to save the day, to save Supergirl. I mean, that's not kind of what he meant to do, but I mean, he's just Lobo being Lobo. I thought Lobo's parts in all, because this is the last part of Lobo, so I might as well just kind of say what I think about him. I can see what people are saying, that he's the best of it, but it wasn't enough to even remotely save a single scene of the movie. So after they fight on top of the ship, Lobo starts blowing up the ship, and now the ship is crashing. Now, mind you, these 10, 12 girls are in the ship. Ship is crashing down. And I'm talking about explosions happening all around the ship. Where the girls are at, the girls that are in prison, is like completely pristine. It's like untouched. I'm like, that's like the safe house. Like, I mean, Jesus, they like really want to protect these assets or whatever. But Supergirl like flies in. Oh, I don't know. I think this part's weird. She holds two tanks or APCs with one hand and has her other hand on the bar where the all the soon to be slave girls are being kept. She like turns her face towards where the bar is and like shoots lasers. She does eye beams right through the bars and all the way out the ship. She didn't say anything. These kids look like they didn't duck or nothing. It's this giant hole. I mean, all the kids run out, so I mean, I that's a good thing. So that's good. So I guess they're not hurt, but and mind you, this was Ruthie's idea to go save them, not Supergirl. Supergirl was about to fucking leave them. I'm like, Jesus, come on, Supergirl, that's at least one super thing. So she ends up like beating the crap out of Krim some more, even more. Like literally, like honestly, I thought that was probably like the coolest part of the movie is when she like flew like straight towards Krim, grabbed him, and just like start banging his ass on the ground, like doing all these like flips and stuff, and keep smashing him in and then throwing him. That's probably the best part in the entire hour and a half movie, or hour and 40 something odd minutes, whatever it was. And then she fights all these other Brighams. Ruthie can fight now too. Don't worry about it. Nothing else was explained. Why would we explain this? So don't worry about it. So so after she saves everyone and beats up all the brigands, Ruthie wants to still take out Krim. Now, Supergirl was like, "Hey, don't do it. Don't be like him. Living your life will be like essentially your victory and his punishment, blah blah blah." Now in the comics, Supergirl throws Krim into the Phantom Zone for over 300 years, or I think it was maybe 200. It was 200 or 300 years. I'm explaining the end of the comics because I'm about to explain the end of the movie. Completely different. So she throws him into the Phantom Zone, and it's like he will learn a lesson. This is his punishment. You live your life. She breaks him after like 200 or 300 years later. She sets Krim free, and Ruthie still has this vendetta for him and kills him. And they go their and Supergirl and Ruthie go their separate ways, and that's the end of them. They no longer talk. In the movie, she stops Ruthie from killing Krim, just like in the beginning part of the comics, or before Supergirl throws Krim into the Phantom Zone, and Supergirl takes the sword, as payment, and then Ruthie starts to walk off, and blah 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 blah. Supergirl, as the great superhero that I always known her for, as every other fan of DC, just who, even if you don't read every comic, I haven't either. You don't read every comic of Supergirl, you just still know that Supergirl is a hero and will do the right thing, will say a witty line, and then that's it, right? Wrong. Because that's not what happens. Supergirl is the biggest fucking hypocrite of the movie, because she says all this stuff to constantly say, "Don't kill Krim, don't kill Krim. It's wrong. You don't kill him for revenge because you're doing it. It's the whole wrong purpose. You need to, be good." Blah 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 blah. She takes the sword and stabs Krim, not once, because the first time was stabs him. It was like, "That's for poisoning my dog," and then stabs him again. So like that's for essentially destroying Ruthie's life, and then that's the end of Krim. I was like, wow, wow. What was the whole point of constantly telling someone not to take someone else out for revenge when you literally just took someone out for revenge? That is a hypocrite. That is a hypocrite. That's the movie. That's Supergirl, the movie. I explained it in around 40 something odd minutes instead of you going to go watch it for an hour and 40 something odd minutes. I think this one, you know what? I did say a 1 out of 10 at the beginning. I'll give it a 2 out of 10 because I did change my mind because I still think Superman was worse than Supergirl. Now, there is one thing I did forget to talk about. So the movie's over. Movie's gone and done. It's dead. I did forget about one thing because it did go back, because when Supergirl was having the kryptonite poisoning from the binary stars from the green sun, it goes into the flashback of Kara going to Earth. One of the biggest annoyance of Superman and Supergirl outside of crypto is Superman. The pod that Supergirl comes in, it opens, they're in the Antarctica. Superman is the first one to talk to her. He's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And Supergirl is speaking Kryptonian. And Superman's like, "Oh, well, I don't speak Kryptonian." And I know some people might be like, "What do you mean? What's the problem with that?" The problem is Superman, right behind him, is the Fortress of Solitude. And for those who don't know, the Fortress of Solitude has Kryptonian history, has the language of the Kryptonians, and Superman learned a lot about his people from the Fortress of Solitude because it has a record of almost every single thing that happened on Krypton. How does he not know how to speak Kryptonian? I just don't understand it. It makes 0 sense. He should be able to speak Kryptonian because he has access to learning the language behind him. Supergirl learns English. Why didn't like how did he learn or how did she learn English when no one knew how to speak Kryptonian? You're like, "Oh, well, other countries did that." Yes, but it would make more sense. Like, did they go into the Fortress of Solitude and all the robots knew how to speak Kryptonian and they taught her English? Nothing of that gets explained. We still don't see any of the Danvers. We don't get to see Martha and John. Nobody, nobody is the foster parents for Supergirl. So I'm like, can we get something? I don't know. After all of that stuff, though, after all of that stuff happens, she does go back to the Earth at the very end of the movie. It's like, oh, I want to stay, and Crypto wants to, and we're just happy to be home. Blah 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 blah. I was like, cool, you didn't learn nothing. You just got drunk for like the first 10 minutes of the movie. You try to be selfish the entire movie, and it's like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna go home now. And I don't and be a hypocrite. I forgot to also mention that she's a hypocrite and then goes home. That is the movie. Now, if you watch the movie like I did, let me know. If you never plan on watching it and this kind of help your point of why you need to would prefer to save your money for literally anything else. I mean, you can just go ahead and put that in the comments below. That's all fine and dandy. Now, if you do plan on watching it, I hope you didn't watch my video. And if you did watch, if you do plan on watching it and you watch my video, I hope that it doesn't change your mind once you have your own opinions about it. I mean, I guess I'm very negative about it because everything just doesn't make sense in the movie. It just rolls along like it was just, well, it's like turning the page of a blank book. It's just there. But as usual, I hope I don't know. I did not enjoy it. I cannot recommend this movie at all. I can't recommend Superman. I think it's better than Superman slightly. Maybe mainly because they don't treat the main character like a nobody and always messes up every I mean, they don't treat her like that, but I mean, she's just selfish and just wants to be drunk all day. But anyways, I think it's better than Superman. It's not really saying much because I don't think Superman or the last year's Superman was good at all. Lobo's scenes were almost pointless because he doesn't even collect the bounty that he was going after in the first place. So I was like, that part doesn't make sense. So I was like, his entire purpose doesn't even get solved because he just goes away. Superman scenes were just like I felt like just thrown in, and their their interaction between these two is just not there. They just you would imagine being the only two Kryptonians that they would have a lot better relationship. Like Superman wants to know everything about his home that Supergirl no longer knows no more because in James Gunn's version, Supergirl was not born on Krypton but in a floating Argo City. So I mean, even then, he would like to know, but the main thing was this whole be evil Superman that should be pretty much explained and set forth. But I felt like, oh, this does make Zora L and Lara L die, and we'll just say that they're evil, and so we don't ever have to talk about that ever. And I think that was pretty bad. But I'm sorry, it was a long video, but it was a very good bit to talk about. But as usual, I just want y'all to have a good one. Be well, stay easy, and have a good one. And also, This should be Happy Friday. I watched this movie on Thursday, but Happy Friday. And yep, have a good one.